maybe not the Celtic signing blitz that we thought we would have during this summer transfer window. We would get on all these big players at £15 million. But this weekend, there is a medical being done for a defender. Celtic have signed a player for £4 million from Legia Warsaw. And you've got to remember, the last player that we got from Legia Warsaw turned out to be not too shabby, and we sold him on for a big profit to a club in Germany. He also sold the club to the player in question. The fact that Celtic have made this deal happen, we fended off interest from Galatasaray. It's been fantastic to get the guy in the door. We all know that we needed cover, and it's done. But some Celtic fans are not happy. We're not happy the way that the club has went this summer, and I'm going to read one of the comments, and then I'm going to talk about Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton has been saying that Celtic basically fans need to calm down a bit. Stop reading too much into the summer games, the pre-season. You don't read too much into it because, it's not a free pass. That's all where all the hard work is done. There's no need to panic just yet, but there are some concerns for Celtic fans. So let's get into this comment first of all. It's an interesting one because a lot of fans thought we were maybe going to spend some big money. And Alistair Bell has commented on the Keogh injury video, and he said, we need to purchase, so thank you first, Alistair, for the comment. We need to purchase high quality striker and pay reasonable price for it. We cannot keep the purse pinching to try and keep the likes of Lawwell and those on the board happy. If Brendan Rodgers wants to make an impact on the Champions League, then we need this to happen. Love O as a player, but not convinced. For me, he's not a top tier ready to make a huge impact in Europe against the European clubs. Let's be honest, in the last several years, Celtic have been shocking in Europe. Winning in one or two games isn't cutting it. And many teams, not that big, have came to Celtic Park and floored us. So thanks for that, Alistair. That's an interesting comment. And tell me in the comments what you think about that. Do you think Alistair's right? Brendan Rodgers has been speaking about the fact that he wasn't offered a big bag of cash with transfer fees. He came back for his love of the club and it put things right. He says, for me, it's on a personal level, the club model works and we have to work within that, says Brendan Rodgers. There seems to be a bit of a different narrative when he came back. He felt that people that didn't know him were creating a story. Why would he come back? It must be because he was offered a war chest he's been given. And we all said that he came back, I want Brendan Rodgers back and a bag of cash. But he laughed. Brendan says, I have to work within the club model. It's a club and a business model that's been really successful. We'll look at players who are basically first team ready, but we'll also look at players who we can bring in and develop and move on. That is the nature of Celtic Football Club. And we'll all agree, we're not going to turn around and, there was a player that came into Scottish football a few years ago now for 12 million, and the team in question then died. With not paying its debt. So it's not the case that Celtic need to go out and we would like to go out and spend money on players that are going to come in and make a big impact, not just domestically but Europe, to get us just competing in Europe. It's not about making big strides and getting through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We know that that's never going to happen because of the financial implications of that for the big clubs. They're spending, one club can spend 100 million on a player and that's Celtic's turnover for the whole year. Another club can go out and spend 50 million and that's the club across the road's turnover. So tell me what you want. Rodgers knows that the club can't splash the cash. We all know this. Also, we're kind of hoping that we're going to spend at least some good money on players, but Chris Sutton's been talking about that also, and he says that we need to sort of calm down a bit. People get really emotional. We said Celtic are one of the biggest clubs in the world. We have a fan base that is truly all around the world. I see the stats on this channel from the countries where people watch Celtic. So sadly, we don't have the resources to go out and spend 30 million on a player. We would love it, but would it bring us success? You have to work within the parameters of the league that we're in. Brendan was talking about how emotional the march to 10 in a row was. And he said, when you look at it, it gave the club an opportunity to sit back and go, we spent 10 million on players and whatever, and okay, we sold them on for profit, but was it in the best nature of the club? Which will be a bit disappointing of a comment, especially after the last couple of seasons. And it was suggested, we weren't promised, it was suggested that we were going to bring in the next level type of player. But you've got to work with the resources you have, the success that we've had. Look, over the last 20 years, Celtic have been completely dominant in Scottish football. You know, I was on a flight yesterday that had quite a few of that other mob on it with their papal T-shirts. Anyway, they're about to be raging talking about that. It's like they've got the Swiss Guard as their away top. It's fantastic. That'll go down well. Anyway, we digress. We're moving on. Brendan Rodgers says, my advice will always be we need in good players. Rodgers also says just because supporters would rather support the jersey than the player in the jersey. We all know that players will come and go. But as a club, we need to produce our own talent also. He says it's all about identifying talent early. The club has been good at doing that. We do have a backroom staff and a team of guys that hand a list of players that are fantastic, and we've done great over the years. A lot of people were saying, yeah, we know the Japan guys were Angie's projects, but there's players that have came in that obviously the recruitment team have looked at, and they do their club really well. So we can't knock the recruitment team at Celtic. I mean, they're doing really well. We're bringing in talent that we can move on. We've done fantastically well on that over the last couple of years. So we would like the club to make a bit of a difference in Europe, and that's what it's all coming down to. Whilst we have spent $4 million on a defender, what does that say for Kobayashi? Is Kobayashi going to be Celtic long term? Was he brought in by Ange because he trusts him, or is he actually a good defender? We've yet to see that yet. And then Brendan Rodgers also said, this is a really weird one for me, and it has to be said, if I was Stephen Welsh, it's like, do you want to be playing football full time at this stage in your career? But he said, Brendan Rodgers said, we also have Stephen Welsh, who's a really committed player for the squad. He's a good lad, and it's been good to see him develop. But he felt that we needed another defender. We did need another defender. We need somebody that could be a bit more Cameron Carter-Vickers like. And let's face it, Stephen Welsh isn't that. Is Stephen Welsh the top level that we need? Can he get to that? He's obviously progressed over the last couple of years. Good lad. But sometimes in football, you need to move on for the better of your career. Not for the fact that he's not good enough for Celtic. You know, as for him as a player, if he wants to play every week, you don't want to be another... I just don't understand the whole Bain situation. Bain's been at Celtic for years. Bain could walk into a first team and a club down south. Anyway, we digress. He's got a 3-year contract for love nor money. Juranovic did sell Celtic to the player that's coming in. Obviously, he played at Warsaw also. Chris Sutton has been talking about Celtic fans and said that we need to calm down a bit. Some of us are getting itchy feet about the fact that we haven't made these big signings, and obviously he thought as well that Rodgers would bring in some more players a bit quicker. But addressing the centre-back situation has been a fantastic thing to achieve this window, if you ask me. We all know that we needed cover in that position. Maida, people saying that we still need to go out and buy a striker, but Brendan Rodgers fancies him as a striker. He plays for striker for Japan. So do we really need to go out and spend big money on another striker when we've got people in that department already? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. Tell what you think about it in the comments. I might do a live from the pub after the game today. Depends on who's all down at the pub. If there's enough people, we might do the live. If not, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world. Make sure that you comment on this, give it a thumbs up, and tell me what you think about the transfers that we've had already this season. And yeah, what do you think? Because it's a bit underwhelming, isn't it?